the trading, when it comes to the work process that I do, I'm very regimented about the scheduling that I'm on. And I do that on purpose because I know that it's not natural for me to be that way. But when we talk about your pre-desk routine and we talk about the before phase of your trading, we're talking about the preparation that you're doing before you come into the trading day. And I want to tell a story to kind of illustrate how this works. And I thought all night about whether I was going to tell this story or not because I've told it one other time. I'm going to tell it anyway. I spent, like I said, I spent some time in the wars, and if you've been in those in the wars, Iraq, Afghanistan, East Africa, those types of places, how many people have been there, have done stuff like that? Just so I know who I'm talking to. Yeah, Vietnam. Okay. Yeah. Good. Some of you guys. And I was in Iraq, and it's funny because what they were doing because they didn't have. I was working as a like I said in the private security field. I protected the diplomats and some high level people, as well as people who were part of a provincial reconstruction team who were building roads and bridges and things like that. And my main job for a long time during the most dangerous times of the war was we typically ran in a motorcade of 3 vehicles. And we had a Humvee, which is an up-armored Humvee, which is basically like those military vehicles that you see. If you don't know what a Humvee is, you can Google it while I'm talking and it will show you a picture. And then we had a Humvee in the front, and we had a black Suburban in the middle that housed our principal, or the person that we were persons we were protecting. And then in the back was another Humvee. And I was the up gunner, meaning I was the guy in the turret of the front Humvee in the motorcade. And my job was to protect the motorcade from anybody in front of us or anybody on the sides who would be coming out of the sides off a side street or something like that. At that time, there were about 20 to 25 IEDs or vehicle explosions that were happening in the city a day. Okay? So every time we went out, every single time we left the secured area, there was a chance that we were going to get killed. Like I said, during that time, we were struck 3 times by IED attacks, by explosions, by roadside bombs and car bombs. I was lucky enough that I did not die. Some of the people who were on the team were not that lucky. But one of the things that was happening was we were very, very successful because we would run quite frequently outside what we would call in the red zone, outside of the secure area. And some of the local military people who were there, they were reservists. And they needed to be able to move military personnel to and from some of these locations, but they didn't have guys like us. They didn't have former special operations guys. Pretty much everybody on my team was either a former Force Recon guy or a former Navy SEAL. Those were the 2 guys, and we had some guys from Special Forces who were on our team as well. But 99% of the guys were of that background. And the average Army unit, because we were on an Army base, the average Army unit did not have that depth of talent to drive their colonels and generals around. And so what they were doing was, since the actual gunslingers were taken doing other things, they're doing actual combat roles, that left a lot of the administrative people, a lot of the non-combat personnel to do the transportation. So you had 2 big problems. You had a group of people who were not really very well combat trained, and also were reservists. And they were being plucked from the United States. They were being dropped in one of the hottest zones in Iraq at the time during the height of the war. And they were being told, your responsibility now is to go outside into a city where there are 20 IEDs a day going off, killing, civilians, killing military personnel. Everybody, some of the most dangerous terrorists in the world are hunting you down, and you need to move these guys, these colonels, these generals from point A to point B. and a lot of them were getting killed